adults and young people would begin to experience excruciating muscle pain and stiffness in the neck. Those afflicted by the symptoms might lose the use of their limbs or become paralyzed. In some cases, they might even die. Polio, as the disease was called, claimed many hundreds of thousands of young victims in the United States. And with the baby boom, the epidemic threatened even more harm.
In a way, this was a time period when American society was very closely attuned to polio as a problem. After all, it was the post-World War II era. There were a massive growth in the number of children being born in America and a concern about their health and safety.
In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a city of smoke and steel, there came a glimmer of hope. Dr. Jonas Salk believed he'd found a vaccine, and he set out to test his medicine. To ensure that his tests were accurate, Salk relied on careful statistical methodology. In 1954, 1.8 million school children would partake in the trial, the largest of its kind in history. The children were separated into two groups at random. Because of the random assignments, the laws of probability practically guaranteed that the two groups would be nearly identical, and that sameness would help Salk track the effects of his new drug. For example, if Salk did nothing and just watched the groups, according to the laws of probability, both groups would come down with roughly the same number of polio cases. If, on the other hand, Salk gave one group his vaccine and they had fewer cases of polio, this might mean that his drug worked, and probability would help him to gauge its effectiveness.
You needed to have children treated at the same point in time and be able to say, did the group that got the vaccine have fewer cases of polio than the group that didn't get the vaccine?
As the Salk trial progressed, it did appear as if the group that got the vaccine had fewer instances of polio. To be certain the success rate was due to the drug and not just chance, Salk's data was subjected to statistical analysis. To assess the data, the researchers focused their attention on the total number of polio cases reported in both groups. If the difference between groups was small, so small that it could be mere chance, the vaccine would be found not to be effective. As the researchers tabulated the data, they found that the differences were so great that they could not be attributed to chance. The vaccine had proven an overwhelming success.
In many ways, I think, the Salk development of the vaccine represents an ideal, a high point of both the faith in medical science and the ability of medical science to produce. And in a way, I think, ever since the 1950s, medical science has aspired to that ideal of the Salk vaccine trials.
Today, clinical trials are conducted at the National Institutes of Health Clinical Center in Bethesda, Maryland. Over 900 trials are conducted here each year. Just like the Salk trial, participants are assembled into groups. Today, random numbers are used to decide who gets a drug and who gets a neutral substance, called a placebo. Doctors are still responsible for monitoring and recording the well-being of their patients.
That's right, it doesn't turn around all the way.
But the true key of a drug's success will be derived from the numbers.
The FDA, in deciding whether a new drug or new product can be approved, needs to see the data. We have to say, show me your results. Show me that you did a valid study, and show me that the results really show, one, that this product is safe, and two, that it works.
Under the power of statistical analysis, we can develop new drugs to help battle disease. Statistics can also be used to protect us in the face of uncertainty. Grant Stier knows a few things about uncertainty. He uses statistics and probability to calculate the odds and risks in the game of life. Stier works for Fireman's Fund Insurance, one of the oldest insurance companies in the world.
One of the most obvious applications of probability theory these days is the insurance industry. You want to go out and you want to take insurance on your life or on your car. What you're doing is you're finding someone who's prepared to take a bet on your car not being damaged or on your life not coming to an end.
Probably fall in the $150 range. We do have a bit of weather coverage under this, you know, the hurricane preventing.
At Fireman's Fund, Stier is an actuary.
Going to be offering those, so we can assess the costs of each of those coverages and make some assessment of what the frequency of each of those coverages might be.
Actuaries in general are most likely involved in setting rates, trying to charge or be able to decide what the price ought to be for the policies and the products we sell.
What kind of things can go wrong, Sue?
Today, Stier and his colleagues are trying to assess the cost and risk of a new and unusual policy, wedding insurance.
If wedding site goes out of business, how do we determine a rate for that?
We're only refunding...
If the wedding does not take place.
Right, if they decide to cancel because of critical guests not appearing.
What we need to be able to do is to charge a price that covers the average loss for all. Insurance usually has a history of the data from the types of losses that the particular policy they've sold has covered, so they've got some actual statistics on the types of losses that we've incurred. For wedding insurance, it was a new coverage.
In the case of wedding insurance, the first step is to research the cost of various wedding elements. Sue Lim and her colleagues are trying to determine what things to insure. Wedding attire, wedding photographs,